Hello students, welcome back. Hope you all staying safe and healthy. Today we are going to learn a new lesson, chapter 4, part 1, and from your book page 55 to 57. In this video we are going to deal with chapter 4, part 1 from book page 55 to 57. So students, all of you take your English book, along with it take your English note. Okay, let's move on. The topic of our chapter is dusk. Okay students, read with me. Dusk. So have you ever heard the word dusk? What do you know by dusk? Dusk means அந்தி மாலை பொழுது. That means it is a time when the night starts, before the night starts. Okay, it is a darker stage. Slowly the darker stage will appear, right, before the nightfall. So that time, that means mostly related with evening time. Okay, so it is a short story which happen in the evening time. We will see. Okay, so before that we'll discuss some of the questions and I want you to just think over it. Okay, let's see. Have you ever helped any stranger? Okay, இதுக்கு முன்னாடி முன்பின் தெரியாத யாருக்காவது நீங்க உதவி இருக்கீங்களா? And later thought what you did was right or wrong. Okay, after helping that person you are just pondering over it. Okay, the thing which you did is right or wrong. Have you ever across these situations? Just think. Okay, next, have you ever been cheated by a stranger? Okay, after helping them, have you ever cheated by that person? Next, what was your thought after you realized that you have been fooled? Okay, so the first question is, have you ever helped any stranger? ஏதாவது முன்பின் தெரியாத ஒரு ஆளுக்கு உதவி செஞ்சிருக்கீங்களா? And have you ever been cheated by a stranger? Okay, so the help you did was not worthy to them. Okay, they are not the right person to receive that help. What was your thought after you realized that you have been fooled? Okay, உங்களை ஏமாத்தி தான் உங்ககிட்ட இருந்து அந்த உதவியை வாங்கியிருக்காங்க அப்படின்னு தெரிஞ்சா what you will think. Okay, so these are the questions, just think about it. Okay, and in this chapter we are having some main characters. Let's see. First one is Norman Goatsby. The whole lesson is surrounded by this man Norman Goatsby. Okay, he is the hero, and then in the scene there will be an old man as well as a young man. So these three persons are the main characters we are going to look in this lesson. Okay students, let's move on. About the author who has written this short story Dusk. Let's see. Turn your book to page number 60. All of you turn your book to page number 60. Have you seen Munro? The author name is Munro. Saki, 1870 to 1916. Okay, is the pen name of Hector Hugh Munro. Same 1870 to 1960. Okay, so his original name was Hector Hugh Munro, but he has kept his name as Saki for to write whatever he writes. He end up with his name Saki. Okay, and no one knows why he chose that pen name. He was born in Burma. At the age of 2 he was sent to live with his aunts in Devon, England. So actually he was born in Burma and but he was grown up in England. Early in his career, Munro became a police officer. He could not continue because of poor health. Turning to journalism, he started off by writing for the Westminster Gazette, the Daily Express, the Morning Post, and some magazines. Okay, first he started his career, his job as a police officer, but he could not continue because of the poor health. Later he joined in journalism. He started as a journalist and he worked in many of the magazines. Soon he moved on to writing short stories and sketches. His stories mocked outdated manners and customs of English society at that time. Well known for summary descriptions, wit, and political stare, some of his popular works include Toys of Peace, Interlopers, The Storyteller, and The Open Wind. Okay, children. So, this lesson, Dusk, is also one of his many successful short stories. Okay, let's take a quick look and let's see the summary of it. The story at a glance. Dusk by Sagi is about Norman Goatsby, who is cheated by a young man about needing money. Okay, as I said, it is a story surrounded by Norman Goatsby. Okay, the main character name is Norman Goatsby, and in the scene there is a young man. This Norman Goatsby was cheated by that young man. Norman Goatsby was sitting on a bench in Hyde Park, observed people around, and concludes that everyone had lost the battle of life, that everyone is distressed. As the man sitting beside him gets up, a young man replaces him on the bench, seemed to be troubled and unhappy. Goatsby asked him the reason of his unhappiness. So the young man explains his entire story, that he is a new man who come to the city and he had forgotten the name of his hotel. He came out to buy some soap, but he drank at a bar, and now he could not remember the name of the hotel or even street, or he didn't have money too. Goatsby said that if he could show him the soap, his story would have been more believable. The man could not find his soap and left the place angrily. Goatsby, while leaving the bench, found a small packet of newly bought cake of soap. He rushed to give it to the man. He found the man and gave it to him along with a gold coin. He apologized for his earlier disbelief. The man thanked him. Goatsby returned to the bench with the feeling of content. He saw the man who had sat there before the young man. He seemed to be looking something. He asked if he had lost anything. He replied that he was looking for a cake of soap. Okay, so this is the summary of the lesson. So when we read the lesson, we will understand it more. Okay, children, let's move on. Now turn your book to page number 55. Page number 55. Start here. Work with your partner to complete the following activities. Okay, so you have to just think over the sentences that they have given there. Okay, read. Discuss with your partner why people ask for others for help. Okay, why people ask for help. எதுக்கு ஒரு ஆள் இன்னொரு ஆள் கிட்ட உதவி கேட்பாங்க? Okay, can anyone say any answers? Yes, people ask for help because they are unable to do certain things for themselves, right? Or because they need something, unable to do by themselves means they need other person to do certain helps. Next, from whom would a person ask for help. Okay, so யார்கிட்ட கேட்பாங்க உதவி? That means this people and this man unable to do, the one who can do, the person can ask them, right? Why might they avoid telling the truth when asking for help? Okay, most of the time when people ask for help, they will not tell the lie. In maybe 10 or 20 percentage people only, they will say the truth and they will ask the help. But most of the time people used to lie and ask for help. Okay, and why do you think why they do that? Okay, so maybe if they tell the truth, they might hesitate to tell the truth while asking for help, because to avoid becoming embarrassed in front of others. Okay, மற்றவங்க முன்னாடி ஒரு உதவி கேட்கும்போது ஒரு கூனி குறுகி போயிடுவோமோ அப்படின்ற ஒரு நினைப்புனால அந்த உண்மையை சொல்லாமல் இருக்கலாம். ஓகே, the answers may vary, just think about it. Look at the given pictures. What emotion does the one on the right express? What about the one on the left? What did you make this assumption based on? Make a list of these factors for each picture with your partner. So students, look at those two pictures. Okay, and you have to say what emotions they are expressing. Okay, can you say? Okay, the girl on the right seems happy riding her bicycle, right? And the boy on the left seems like gloomy due to rainy weather, and as he cannot step out and is forced to stay inside. Okay, so just think about it. So let's move on to our lesson. Let's read and understand. Let's see the consequences a man named Gorman got by faces because of his habit of making very quick assumption. Okay, so this is a story about a man Norman Godsby, and in this lesson we are going to see the consequences, that means outcome. What is the outcome of the habit of making very quick assumption? Okay, சீக்கிரமா முடிவெடுக்கிறதுனால, சீக்கிரமா ஒரு ஆளை நம்புறதுனால அந்த அவருக்கு என்னென்ன விளைவுகள் ஏற்பட்டுச்சு அப்படின்றது இந்த லெசன்ல நம்ம பார்க்க போறோம். Norman Godsby sat on a bench in the park with his back to a strip of bush-planted sward fenced by the park railings, and a row fronting him across a wide stretch of carriage drive. Hyde Park Corner, with its rattle and hoot of traffic, lay immediately to his right. It was some 30 minutes past 6 on an early March evening, and dusk had fallen heavily over the scene, dusk mitigated by some faint moonlight and many street lamps. Okay, this paragraph, it explains about the narrator, where he was. Okay, actually he was on a park. He was sat on the bench in the park, and the park name is Hyde Park. Okay, and it says that he was just sitting in a corner and observing the happenings around him. Okay, and he was just explaining what are the things happening around him, and he says that he enjoys the bustle of miserable people going through the traffic, and he could hear the rattle and hoot of traffic, that means the sound of traffic, and he was just explaining it was some 30 minutes past 6 and an early March evening. Okay, it is happening in the month of March, and it is the time andi malai poludhu. Okay, it is dusk, and he was just sitting in the park and he was just observing people. So let's move on. Page number 56. Page number 56. So students, when we read, you just follow the book, okay? There was a wide emptiness over road and sidewalk, and yet there were many unconsidered figures moving silently through the half light. Okay, so he was just sat on the bench and he was just observing the things which was happening around him, and he was just describing those things. Okay, and he says that he could not see just people because of the half light, and he was just says that figures are moving silently. That means the people, those who come after work, they were just going back to their homes. Next, the scene pleased Godsby and harmonized with his present mood. Thus to his mind was the hour of defeated. Okay, underline hour of defeated. Men and women who had fought and lost, who hid their fallen fortunes and dead hopes as far as possible from the scrutiny of the curious, come forth in this hour of gloaming, when their shabby clothes and bowed shoulders and unhappy eyes might pass unnoticed, or at any rate unrecognized. Okay, so in this paragraph he enjoys this scene. Okay, the scene pleased Godsby, and he says that, and he describes the mood of the people on the streets. Okay, and he described the evening time as the hour of defeated. Okay, ஒரு தோல்வியின் மணி நேரமா அவர் வந்து இதை கணக்கிட்டார், because most of the people's dream, okay, that may not be fulfilled on that day, and they were coming back to their home. Like evening, how they will look, morning they may well dressed up, but when they come back home, their clothes like shabby clothes. That means their clothes may be in poor condition, and bowed shoulders, all the energies were gone, and unhappy eyes. Okay, so they were full of tired. So he was just noticed the persons, and he was just says that the evening time, the dusk time, is the hour of defeated. Okay, next, beyond the sheltering screen of bushes and palings came a realm of brilliant lights and noisy rushing traffic. A blazing made tired stretch of windows shone through the dusk and almost dispersed it, marking the haunts of those other people who held their own in life's struggle, or at any rate had not had to admit failure. So Godsby imagination pictured things as he sat on his bench in the almost deserted walk. He was in the mood to count himself among the defeated. Okay, that is the main point in the paragraph, so just underline. He was in the mood to count himself among the defeated. Money troubles did not press on him. Had he so wished, he could have strolled into the thoroughfares of light and noise, and taken his place among the jostling ranks of those who enjoyed prosperity or struggled for it. He had failed in more subtle ambition, and for the moment he was heart-sore and disillusioned. Okay, so in this paragraph he was just thinks of the dusk as the time associated with people who feel defeated. Okay, and he says he was just counting himself among the defeated people. He was just sitting there with the money is not a trouble for him. Okay, but he just strolled. சும்மா ஒரு சுற்றி பார்த்து உலா வந்து அப்படி ஒரு இடத்துல உட்காந்து எல்லாரையும் அப்சர்வ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு வேண்டி he just came there. And he says that the place like Hyde Park, they when they make, they just think that it is a happier place for more successful people, right? But at that moment it was people surrounded with defeated one. Okay, எல்லாரும் தோற்கப்பட்ட மக்களால் அந்த இடத்துல அவங்க எல்லாம் மாறி மாறி நடந்துட்டு இருக்காங்க. And he says that he failed in a more subtle ambition. That means he precise the nature of which the story never makes clear. Okay, and he enjoys sitting on the bench, pausing and judging people in the dusk. Okay, and he could not see their face clearly, but still he sits and just judging the people. Okay, let's move on. On the bench by his side sat an elderly gentleman. Okay, so now the second character was coming in with a drooping air of defense that was probably the remaining vestige of self-respect in an individual who had ceased to defy successfully anybody or anything. His clothes could scarcely be called shabby, at least they passed muster in the half-light. He belonged unmistakably to that forlorn orchestra to whose piping no one dances. As he rose to go, Godspell imagined him returning to a home circle where he was snubbed and of no account. Okay, so here this Godspell, while he was sitting, next to him on the bench is an old man, an old elderly man. He just came and sat there, and he also seems like nearly defeated. Okay, and definitely depressed. That man also depressed. His clothes are not especially unattractive. Okay, but the old man does not by means look rich. He was just wearing a good dress, but it looks like fairly decent. He also seems depressed, and here he says that his retreating figure vanished slowly into the shadows, and his place on the bench was taken almost immediately by a young man, fairly well dressed, but scarcely more cheerful of mien than his presider. Okay, so it explains that when the old man he sat for a while and he just got up and he went. At the moment when he went, immediately the place was occupied by another young man. Okay, and he says that he dressed very well. He decently dressed, and as the old man he just got up, that place was occupied by that person. Okay, next page number 57. His preceder means முன்னோடி. அந்த முன்னாடி இருந்த அந்த old man எழும்னதும் this young man was occupied that place, as if to emphasize the fact that the world went badly with him. The newcomer unburned himself of an angry and very audible expletive as he flung himself into the seat. Okay, so while that man was sitting there, it looks like that man was in great anger, or he's also looking like very depressed. Okay, you don't seem in a very good temper, said Godspell, judging that he was expected to take due notice of the demonstration. Okay, now he was saying that you don't seem in a very good temper, and why he says that, because that man needs someone's attention. Okay, நம்ம ஒருவேளை கவலையா இருக்கும்போது நம்ம வந்து மற்றவங்களோட அட்டென்ஷன் நமக்கு வேணுன்றதுக்கு வேண்டி we will do something, right? So the same attitude was coming from that young man. So this Godspell noticed, and he was just saying, okay, you can share your things to me. The young man turned to him with a look of disarming frankness which put him instantly on his guard. So what is meant by disarming? In the word bank you can see making people feel less angry or suspicious than they were before. Next paragraph. You won't be in a good temper if you were in a fix. I mean, he said, I have done the silliest thing I have ever done into my life. Yes, said Godspell dispassionately. Okay, now this man, he started telling his entire story. Okay, and this Godsby was ready to hear. He said yes, ஒரு உணர்ச்சி வசப்படாமல், dispassionately, without showing any expression. He was just, okay, you can share your story. Now let's what story the young man was having in his mind. Came up this afternoon meaning to stay at the Patagonian Hotel in Berkshire Square. Continued the young man. When I got there, I found it had been pulled down some weeks ago and a cinema theatre run up on the site. Okay, so he says that on that day afternoon, that man was coming to the city of the place where they were sitting, okay, the London, and he says that he wanted to stay at a hotel, and he gives the name of the hotel, and he says that when I got there, I found it had been pulled down. That means that hotel was just pulled down. அது வந்து அந்த இடத்துல இடிக்கப்பட்டிருந்துச்சு, and it was some weeks ago it was changed into cinema theater. The hotel was, now it is not a same hotel, it was just changed into cinema theater. Next, the taxi driver recommended me to another hotel some way off, and I went there. I just sent a letter to my people giving them the address, and then I went out to buy some soap. I would forgotten to pack any, and I hate using hotel soap. Okay, and he says that he came to one hotel, but the hotel was changed into cinema theater, so now he has no way. So the taxi driver, he recommended him to go to another hotel. Okay, and he dropped him in another hotel, and from there he wrote a letter to his family members and giving them the address and all. Okay, after that he came out to buy a soap, and he forgotten to pack any, because he could not, he didn't bring any soap from his house, and he did not like the soap which was in the hotel, so he says he want to buy a new one. Okay, then I strolled about a bit, had a drink at a bar, and looked at the shops, and when I came to turn my steps back to the hotel, I suddenly realized that I did not remember its name or even what street it was. Okay, so he says after strolling up, that means after roaming here and there, he just saw a bar, okay, a drinking bar, and he says that he just went in and he had some of the liquors. After drunken, now he was drunken. There is a nice predicament for the fellow who hasn't any friends or connections in London. Of course, I can wire to my people for the address, but they won't have got my letter till tomorrow. Meantime, I am without any money, came out with about the shilling on me, which went in buying the soap and getting the drink. And here I am wandering about with 2 pence in my pocket, and now where to go for the night. Okay, so he says after drunken, now he forgot the place where he stayed. Okay, he forgot the name of the hotel and the address, and the street also he couldn't remember. And also he says that I did not bring any money, and the money which I brought, I bought soap, and also I drank it, so now I don't have money and I don't know where to go. And he was saying that throughout the night I have to stay here. Okay, next. There was an eloquent pause after the story had been told. I suppose you think I have spun you rather an impossible yarn, said the young man presently, with a suggestion of resentment in his voice. Okay, so he says that he has no friends or relatives in London, or now he had no place to stay. After hearing all those stories, now there was a calm pause. Okay, I was கதையை சொல்லி அப்படி முடிச்சிட்டான். And he says that he was asking help to that man. Okay, உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது can you do any help for me? Not all at all impossible, said Godspell judicially. I remember doing exactly the same thing once in foreign capital, and on that occasion there were two of us, which made it more remarkable. Luckily we remembered that the hotel was on a sort of canal, and when we struck the canal we were able to find out way back to hotel. Okay, so now this Godspell also, he was just sharing his experience. Once the same thing happened to this Godspell also. Once he was in another foreign country and the capital, and he says that he was not alone, he has another friend also with him, and they forgot the hotel, but there was a canal, and with that, with taking it as a landmark, they came back again to the hotel. So okay students, that's all for today. So we will wind up here, and the remaining parts of the lesson we will see in next video. Okay, now let's write our classwork. All of you take your classwork note. Take new page, write chapter 4 and write today's date, and write the topic dusk. New words, Tamil meaning dusk, அந்தி வேலை. Consequences, விளைவுகள். Shabby, அவலட்சணமான. Good temper, நல்ல மனநிலை. Suspicion, சந்தேகம். Okay, there are 5 new words, so write it down very fast and neatly. New words, dusk means அந்தி வேலை. Consequences, விளைவுகள். Shabby, அவலட்சணமான. Good temper, நல்ல மனநிலை. Suspicion, சந்தேகம். Write neatly, don't make any spelling mistake. Okay, after this let's move on to write synonyms. So write it down. Mitigated, reduced, harmonized, went well together, disillusioned, disappointed, forlorn, pitifully sad, wire, to send somebody a message by telegram, abide by, to accept, jaded, tired and bored, jauntiness, a self-confident manner. So there are plenty of synonyms in your book, but I have chosen and I have give it 8 synonyms, so study it, okay students. Mitigated, reduced, harmonized, went well together, disillusioned, disappointed, forlorn, pitiful, sad, wire, to send somebody a message by telegram, abide by, to accept, jaded, tired and bored, jauntiness, a self-confident manner. Okay, let's move on to write antonyms. Dusk opposite dawn, gloomy opposite bright, shabby opposite decent, hastily opposite slowly. Dusk opposite dawn, gloomy opposite bright, shabby opposite decent, hastily opposite slowly. Okay students, the remaining classworks and the remaining part of the lesson will continue in next video. Okay, so now let's see about today's work. Today's homework: study the class works and complete the book exercises from page 60 to 61. Okay, open your book and mark the homeworks. Page number 60, match the following. Okay, read the full lesson and you have to complete the book exercises. Okay, before that, study the class works. Today's Tamil meaning, synonyms and antonyms you have to study. And page number 61, first fill in the blanks. Page number 60, match the following. Page number 61, fill in the blanks. Okay, that's all. So we will wind up here, and part 2 will be continued in next video. Until then, take care, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.